Thank you very much to our Palomino strings tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Do we have some proud families out there in the audience this evening? If you want to stand up, we can recognize you. Are we ready, Dan? Okay. All right. It is 7 o'clock, and I would like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to invite our Palomino Intermediate String students to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Immediately following, we will be having a moment of silence this evening in order to honor the memories of Stephanie Snyder, Cactus View Administrative Assistant. Additionally, also a Mountain Trail Middle Schooler, 7th grader. So thank you. Thank you. May I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Greenberg?
Here.
Mrs. Bacon?
Here.
Mr. Laney?
Here.
Mrs. Matura?
Here.
Mrs. Case?
Here.
Next on the agenda is approval of agenda. Dr. Bales?
Thank you, President Mitchell. Items approved by consent will not come up for discussion during the meeting, but will be approved when the agenda is adopted. This is possible since members of the governing board receive the agenda along with backup materials at least 24 hours prior to the meeting and have time to review and consider all items. Prior to the agenda being adopted, members of the governing board or audience may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and brought to the floor for discussion at the appropriate place on the agenda. I would like to offer the agenda as posted.
Does any member of the governing board wish to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Does any member of the audience wish to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, Ms. Greenberg, may I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda and recommended consent agenda items G1 through G18?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is governing board statements. Mrs. Bacon?
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you. Still trying to log into my Word Docs account. The sights and sounds of PV schools this weekend was spectacular. Once again, our students are so talented in so many different ways. And I was getting ready to go and my husband said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to the sights and sounds of PV schools." And he said, "Well, hang on, I'm coming with you," because he loves that event so much. So we made it a family affair on Saturday and we were there. So thanks to everyone, because that takes a small army to put together. All of our fine arts teachers in every different area, music, art, ceramics, performance, all of those things. And Mrs. Minnick, if she's still here, she's out there. So, but thank you to all of those people who did so much to create such an amazing event. The other thing I wanted to see, I don't know if you saw in the news, but our prom dress boutique brought to you by PVEA was amazing and is an annual event that I think is so supportive of the students in our community. And I really am grateful for the teachers and the staff that work overtime to put that on and help students get ready for the prom. So that's all I have.
Ms. Case?
I generally make short statements. Tonight's a little bit longer, a lot longer. My personal history in the district goes back to 1984 when my oldest child started in this district. Yes, I'm old. I have a purpose in explaining some history in this district. Decisions about curriculum ebbs and flows. Sometimes curriculum is determined by district personnel. Sometimes it is a publisher's choice. Sometimes it is both. In the 1990s, I was asked by United Parent Council, also known as UPC, to debate the curriculum director about the purposeful loss of phonics in our elementary schools and the loss of the kindergarten reading program, which was phonics-based. This was a curriculum director's personal choice to change. He was following the national swing against phonics to whole language. I'm personally very biased toward phonics. My point here is to illustrate that UPC was used as a vehicle to let parents' concerns be heard and dialogue with the district. Those concerns. The national pendulum swung back, and research showed that phonics was important and necessary in teaching children to read. So the district has endeavored to have phonics in their reading programs in a variety of programs through the years since then. I have attended UPC meetings for years and have learned so much. UPC has always been informative and inclusive of all parents. All opinions were welcomed. Superintendents at these meetings were asked hard questions by a variety of parents, no filters. UPC has been asked through the years to have parent volunteers on curriculum committees, principal selections, strategic planning, and so many other areas. This has been invaluable. Along came COVID. UPC meetings were online. This changed the dynamics. The clipboard for the committee sign-up could not be passed to the attendees. Soon UPC will go back to in-person meetings. This is a good thing. I am hoping that the dynamics change, that any parent can be on a committee, regardless if they are a UPC rep or not, that all parent groups will be represented. To make this district strong, all parents' voices should be heard and respected. For this district to prosper, we need all parents and their students to feel respected and valued. Also, we need a variety of parents to be on committees and not have the same parents so often. In past UPC history, it was even difficult to find the allotted number of parents to fill a committee assignment. I hope the newly engaged parents will stay engaged and will help make our district the best it can be. Along these lines, I hope that the Teacher Association invites all teachers to be on district committees, whether or not they are association members. The district needs to include all voices. I would also like to address a second topic tonight, which I feel is related to my previous remarks. Recently, we have adopted some curriculum. Our K-8 social studies books were very old and worn out, and many were missing. The Arizona Department of Education changed their scope and sequence for K-8. This also necessitated a new curriculum. 3rd and 4th grade topics were switched, and 7th and 8th grade standards were vastly changed. We as a public school had to buy new books and materials. We by law have to follow the curriculum that the state mandates. In Arizona, school districts can purchase whatever publisher we want, as long as it covers the mandated topics. In other states, such as Texas, the state adopts the books for the entire state. Dr. Corson spent years developing the Guaranteed Viable Curriculum, GVC, also known as curriculum maps, for the district. This was done to align our curriculum to Arizona state standards. Finding publishers who align their materials to Arizona standards was challenging. This limited our choices in publishers. We adopted the K-8 social studies for 3 years and not for a normal, lengthier time. The 3-year adoption will allow our district to revisit this curriculum and see if there is better material published in 2 more years. What is published in these materials is a choice of the publishers. Then they sometimes publish material that I disagree with. At the time of the adoption for K-8 social studies, I wanted different materials and voted against the adoption. I believe that we needed to have better materials and felt that we should have core knowledge curriculum at more of our schools and not adopt the current curriculum. I feel that core knowledge program is rich in its presentation and engaging to students. To do this type of change in our district, it would take a lot of change in thought and extra funding for training for teachers, and may I say, courage. So I wanted parents and teachers and the administration to consider this choice for our future. It will take time and thought from a variety of parents, teachers, and administrators, and much courage. Thank you.
Mr. Laney?
Thank you. I would like to thank the 6 candidates that we have for these positions for stepping up. It's a brave thing to do, and so I appreciate your willingness to do that. As you know, I'm pretty new at this, and so I understand stepping up to do something like this, especially when sometimes you have no idea what you're getting into. But tonight, I want to make a few comments because I didn't understand the full process coming to this. And I know a lot of people may not understand the process. So in my hand right here, I have ARS 15-341, which governs what the board can do. And in there, item number 41, it says, adopt in public meeting and implement policies for principal evaluations, okay? One of the things that we do as a board is we oversee the hiring of a superintendent. And I also have the superintendent's contract right here, and I'd like to read something from it. This is something that we have done as a board. It says, the superintendent shall have charge of the administration of the schools under the direction of the governing board. He shall be the chief executive officer of the board, and in accordance with district policy shall direct and assign teachers and other employees of the schools under his supervision, shall assign, organize, reorganize, and arrange the administrative and supervisory staff subject to the approval of the governing board. So that explains why he is in charge of picking people, and we are here to vote on those people. The other thing that I want to read is the actual process that is used. Bullet number 1, which was added this year. Survey the community for characteristics they would like in the next principal. Advertise nationwide through multiple media platforms. Applications are screened by the assistant superintendents for HR and the respective level, either elementary or secondary. Selected candidates are sent a video interview to respond. Next level candidates are interviewed by the superintendent, assistant superintendents for curriculum and instruction, HR, and respective level. Background check, references, and social media footprint screened by HR. Just a side comment, it was interesting when I went through my interview in the district, they didn't have a social media footprint by me because I don't do social media. And then next, finalists selected for community interviews. And these interviews are done by parents, stakeholders, administrative staff. And then once that information is gathered, the cabinet reviews community feedback and the entire selection process. Then the superintendent makes a recommendation to the board. That's the overall process. It's kind of extensive. I had a lively conversation with Dr. Bells the other day, and about this because I was concerned. I really wanted to make sure that we're picking the right people for this. And so when I say lively, it was lively. It's fun. And what I get when I have a lively conversation with somebody is I know that they're passionate and I know that they've done their work. So in that conversation, we discussed what was happening. And I know from that conversation that all of the candidates that are coming in today have been vetted, screened, and they know what they're getting into and know the tasks that they have ahead of them. And that they're going to work on making this district as good as it can be. And that is what I wanted to say tonight, and I have confidence in that process.
Thank you. Ms. Greenberg?
Yes, I'd like to sort of shoot back to Mrs. Bacon's comments and the spectacular sights and sounds. I hope everyone here did have the opportunity to go. It was interesting having it at Shadow, but I thought it worked extraordinarily well. And given the fact that the PV Mall no longer exists, it's nice to know that we have many options for coming years. But I do want to thank Mrs. Minnick and all of our extraordinarily fine arts teachers, all of our tremendously talented students. It was just so much fun to see how many people, I mean, given the weather too, is one of those, parking lots were full, auditoriums and gyms and everywhere that there was art and the sights and sounds were all full. And just, bravo. It was, as always, an amazing event. And I'm glad we're able to bring it back in person once again. Also, since our last board meeting, since it's been a month, I do want to congratulate the Space Force JROTC unit at Shadow Mountain. We have had an Air Force JROTC unit for many years. Well, it has now been deactivated, and the Space Force unit, one of the first 10 in the country, is now officially in business. And if you were at Sights and Sounds, you probably walked by the building where the new Space Force logo is. It was very cool. That same day, United Parent Council, or that same evening, United Parent Council had its vendor showcase for the year. And I want to thank Kia and everybody on the board. It was a marvelous event. And I hope that we connected vendors with different parent groups, and there were some amazing, and I know Dr. Bales, there were going to be some discussions with you to do some things district-wide from some of the vendors. It was a great event, and it's nice to be able to sit up here and talk about going to events in person again. And I also just want to say, in case we don't get a chance at the end, happy spring break next week.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat a couple of things that have already been said this evening, but had a lot going on since the last meeting about a month ago. One different thing that I did is I was able to go to, I believe the title was Stinky Cheese Man performance at there was a play at Explorer Middle School over the last month, and I believe that was the title of the show. But that was fun. It was fun to see the kids up there and just really taking an active role and participating in their schools. So that was great. I also was at the JROTC program and watched as they officially changed over, and wow, like I knew what I was going to, but I didn't realize until I was sitting there, like the importance of it and the feeling of it. It really was a wow factor. And it made me, I sat up a little straighter because all of the JROTC program students were there, and they were all in uniform, and they sat very at attention. And so I had to work on my posture a bit that day. Also, something I learned, and I'm not sure that I knew this before, so I wanted to share it with everyone, was the knowledge that our JROTC program, while it is housed at Shadow Mountain, is available to all of our high school students across the district. It's considered one of our CTE programs, so if there's any student who's at a different high school and wants to participate in the new Air Force JROTC program, Space Force, oh my goodness, thank you. Then that is available to all of our high school students. So I was excited to learn that. I want to make sure everyone knows that. I also was at Sights and Sounds, loved the location, thought it was fantastic. It really felt like a community event this year. Just seeing, it felt very alive on that campus. And I loved hearing everything. Everywhere I walked, there was new sounds, and it was great getting back to the Empty Bowls project. Also, I know we continue to use our bowls up here. So seeing all those new additions this year. That's it, but thank you to all of the staff who put that program together. It was a fantastic event, and look forward to seeing that again next year. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is awards and recognitions. Dr. Bales.
Thank you, President Ventura. It's always a pleasure to highlight students and staff for success or appreciation. This evening, Mr. Droege will MC our honors tonight.
Helps if I turn that on. Good evening, President Matura, governing board members, Dr. Bales, members of cabinet, and attendees both in person and virtual. Tonight, we have several student and employee recognitions to share with you. Our first recognition won the 2022 Arizona Interscholastic Association Division III Wrestling Championship at 190 pounds. He entered the season with an impressive 34-1 record. Coached by Tyrone Abercrombie, please join me in congratulating Luke Isaac, Shadow Mountain High School. Our next recognition is the Paradise Valley High School varsity boys soccer team. They were presented with the prestigious Arizona Interscholastic Association Sportsmanship Award. Coached by Brett Bowman, please join me in congratulating the Paradise Valley High School varsity boys soccer team.
Mr. Droege, I just wanted to mention that that award is selected by the referees who vote on that, correct, Mr. Dennis? So that's a really special award for sportsmanship as referees made that selection, so kudos to them.
Our next recognition is the Paradise Valley Education Support Professional of the Month. PVSEA President Ms. Michelle Courtwright will make the presentation.
President Matura, Governing Board, Dr. Bales, and Cabinet. It is with great pleasure that this month we recognize Jenny Birdie. She is an IT Student Information and State Reporting Specialist in Technology. And as many of you know, technology people speak in a language that is kind of foreign to most of us. One of the things that I saw was we have a lot of letters for this person. Jenny had over 20 people nominate her, which is a very large amount. But there was a pattern. I saw the same 3 words over and over again: approachable, patient, dedicated. And I want to read a couple of the things that people said. She has developed a wide variety of training tools for new and ongoing employees as our programs and capabilities have evolved. She is always on the cutting edge. She keeps her IT staff and all of our school front office people informed and supported through emails, training, and one-on-one consultations. She has infinite patience, and even when we call her daily for advice, she is patient with us, she thinks outside of the box, and she communicates clearly and succinctly. And then there was the IT people, and I just love the way sometimes they speak. They say she understands and accepts her roles and responsibilities with fierce determination, I can't even say it now, algorithmic rhythm. I could say it earlier. And she audits like grace. There are very few professionals in the state that deeply understand the nuisances that come with state reporting, accountability, and the integrity of data. We are fortunate enough to have one right here in PV. Jenny is not only an asset to our district when it comes to student information, she also assists neighboring districts as they rely heavily on her knowledge and expertise. She represents us at the level at the Arizona Department of Education at meetings there. Jenny is an asset to not just us, but the state. And so I would like to have Jenny stand up. She is here tonight. Thank you.
And last this evening, but certainly not least, is the recipient of the Paradise Valley Education Association's Recognition of Professional Standards Award for Teachers. The honoree this evening will be introduced by Ms. Susie Seep, PVEA President.
Thank you, President Matura, Dr. Bales, Governing Board and Cabinet. I am here to recognize Mr. Ross Dodson. He's a behavior interventionist at Roadrunner. the Roadrunner School. And he is behavior interventionist there. He was nominated by Sunny Junt, the psych. Often when I'm here talking about props, I'm here talking about a longtime teacher or educator somewhere in the district. Mr. Dodson is new to us this year, but he received just a really glowing nomination. And I have to say that I interrupted him in his classroom when a little friend had just been sent for a visit. And you could tell how comfortable and happy she was just walking through the door. He provides so much amazing peace and comfort at Roadrunner. I really love this nomination. Mr. Dodson has been a wonderful addition to our campus this year. He not only does his job well, but he is quick to help others. He wears many hats here at Roadrunner. Mr. Dodson was hired as our interventionist, which is a combination of teacher and counselor, but he's also great at building positive relationships outside that setting. Students are eager to earn positive time with him, and we did steal some positive time from this student. It's easy to see why. His demeanor is calm and kind. He's also consistent and firm in his expectations. His combination is a perfect fit in this position. We're so fortunate to have hired Mr. Dodson, and I hope to be able to continue to work with him for years to come. I'm so proud to have a colleague like Mr. Dodson in the district. I'm so proud we continue to be the kind of place that attracts the very best of the best. And even though it's a little early in the evening, I just want to say congratulations and thank you to all of our new principals this evening, including folks that have been not just principal roles, but other leadership roles. I do want to point out that every single one of them has been a member of the Paradise Valley Education Association, and that when you decide to join an organization like that, you decide to empower your own voice, get stronger together. And the decision to be part of an organization means that you understand the most important parts of Republican democracy. I'm so proud of all of them tonight, and I'm so excited for everyone in our district. Thank you.
And that, President Matura, concludes this evening's awards and recognitions.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is call to the public. We are about to convene call to the public, which allows the public the opportunity to address the board. Although state law does not require that we hold call to the public, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community about concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. Call to the public is not designed to be a discussion. Due to Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot respond to, discuss, or take action on items brought up during this time. However, staff members may be directed to get back to you to address individual concerns. Additionally, I want to remind you that in lieu of speaking tonight, you may choose to submit written comments to the board by completing a public comment form on the district homepage. All comments submitted by noon today have been provided to each governing board member and to the superintendent's office in advance of tonight's meeting. Tonight, we have 12 people who have submitted comment cards prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for remarks. Those who have asked to speak on agenda items will be recognized at the appropriate time during the meeting. As a reminder, the point of this and every board meeting is to accomplish the business at hand and to be able to do so openly and collaboratively. All in attendance are expected to observe our meeting rules, as well as rules of politeness and decorum, so that we may serve as an example to our students that issues can be discussed in a respectful and civil manner. Please state your first and last name when you come to the podium. Our first speaker is Jennifer Ariza, and next up will be Walter Kuklik. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Ariza. First, I would like to say that it's really nice to see everybody's smiles. And I would like to thank Ms. Case for speaking about the social studies curriculum, and also Mr. Lacey for explaining to everybody how the principal process works. Because I think it helps if the board is transparent with the community. and it helps us understand how everything operates. So I stand here tonight as a concerned parent in the Paradise Valley School District, and I just want to also let everybody know I do appreciate the opportunity to speak. Tonight, I would like to say that in addition to the fact that pornography should not be allowed in our schools should not be indoctrinating children on any gender or sexual ideology. Protecting the innocence of children and granting parents the authority to raise their children as they see fit with regard to sexual mores is baseline decency. And yet, this has become a controversial issue. Schools should not be overriding parental values. There is a concerted effort going on to teach our children about gender ideology, normalizing what parents would believe to be immoral. Schools do not need to be teaching kindergartners that boys can be girls and girls can be boys. And we don't want to be teaching our third graders that all forms of sex are morally equivalent and that all lifestyle choices are exactly the same. Families are the most valuable and durable form of human connection that we have. We don't want our schools to be turning our kids' values against our families' values. Parents do not want their young children exposed to inappropriate content about sex and gender theory at school. Gender social transitioning should not be allowed in our schools. That means that we should not be telling young children that they can choose if they want to be a boy or a girl and pretending like a little boy is a little girl or that a little girl is a little boy, allowing them to use the opposite bathroom, etc. How many of us have studied human development? For those that may not have, I want to make sure that everyone knows that the human brain does not even come to full maturity until the age of 25. Knowing that, we should know that we should be protecting the innocence of our children and not be intentionally confusing children with gender ideology. Thank you.
Walter Kuklik, and after will be Sander Christensen.
Thank you. My name is Walter Kukulik. I have 4 children that attend Paradise Valley Unified School District. My family I come from a family of public school teachers and administrators. I requested to meet with the governing board several weeks ago and they denied that request. I wanted to talk about student safety. I figured the best way to talk about this is to explain what happened to me and share with you what I wanted to share with you in person. But you guys wanted to make this a public display. I don't know why you couldn't meet with me. So on January 24th of this year, my son was almost killed at a Paradise Valley Elementary School playing a PE game that was already told by by doctors, by nurses. You guys paid to have concussion prevention and protocols created in 2016, and you guys weren't following them. And instead of following those concussion protocols to prevent this near-death injury, you guys, instead of following the procedures to prevent it or follow the right procedures upon this near-death accident, I got a phone call from you guys' school to pick up my son. And I knew better than anyone else on that campus. And this was from the nurse and the PE teachers who should be trained to know how to handle life-threatening injuries. I got picked up with a traumatic brain injury where he almost died. I had to drive him immediately to Phoenix Children's Hospital, where he went immediately to the emergency room and immediately into ICU, and then next into emergency neurosurgery. I received no communication from this district or from the school. I received a couple text messages from a nurse and a phone call. My son almost died as a result of negligence activities, as a result of your educators, your administrators, and staff. And then on top of that, I find out several weeks later from my niece, who also goes to that school, that after this near-death accident or injury that should have been banned by your concussion protocol, that they're still playing it. So then I call the school and the district and leave several messages, and then magically, this game is now all of a sudden banned. And I asked for a meeting with your board about safety policies. I walk onto I've worked with a number of different industries: home building, manufacturing, energy. If there's a near death or traumatic injury, people investigate it. You guys are going to bury it and ignore it. I'd like to understand what the board does to investigate and prioritize student safety. I've seen vision statements over the last 4 or 5 years. Not one of them focused on returning the children to the parents in the same state that we drop them off in. I'm going to come here until you decide to meet.
Next, we have Sander Christensen, and after that will be Eddie Jackson.
Dear President Matura, Dr. Bells, and members of the governing board, thank you for allowing me to speak on the topic of AP literature today. I had the opportunity through open meeting law to attend district AP literature committee meetings. Before I get to my experience and discussions, I want to request 3 items going forward. My 3 asks would be for teachers to post assignments ahead of time along with the summary of what the book is about, preferably beginning at the beginning of the school year or at a minimum at the beginning of each quarter. The summary work is being done by this excellent committee already, and the AP Literature Committee just needs to provide that information to parents so they can decide on the books. My second ask is for them to follow district policy and get parental permission on books with sensitive or explicit content. And since they're doing the work ahead of time, it should be relatively easy for them to have that information and then find an alternative book ahead of time instead of waiting till the last minute when somebody objects. My ask number 3, as Ms. Case so eloquently stated, in the spirit of diversity and inclusion, we should encourage new parents to be on committees that have never served before, choosing parents that can provide different input than what has been given in the past. We can still have the UPC assign parents, but maybe have another process to pick parents outside of UPC. When we have different views that can be freely expressed, we learn more than when we work with those that always think like we do. Contrary to what members of media and social media are saying, parents that I talk to are not for banning books. We are for following district policy. Our students benefit greatly when parents and teachers, educators come alongside each other to help students achieve high levels of academic standards in the classroom. In a letter that Dr. Bells wrote back in November, he stated that PV Schools believes that it's important to balance preparing AP students for college-level academics and age-appropriate coursework. I wholeheartedly agree with that statement. The difficult part is defining what one considers age-appropriate coursework. I read a book that was labeled green, and I thought it was mature content, but the good news is the AP teachers have done an excellent job reviewing the literature and utilizing a rubric that incorporates educational value and identifies the explicit items. I found the comments from teachers were thoughtful and engaging, and I think they're doing a very good job listing those things. So thank you.
Okay, Eddie Jackson, and then we have Kerwin Franklin.
Good evening, Eddie Jackson. I have 2 items I wanted to discuss. Number 1, at the last meeting, a parent expressed concerns about the district approving $200,000 for lobbyists. No one on the board asked any questions, and neither the board nor staff provided any clarification on how the money would be spent. Where is the transparency? A later public records request indicated that the district was opposing bills that seek to hold school districts accountable in the same way that cities and counties are held accountable. So staff put forward an agenda item to oppose accountability and offered no transparency on the matter. Now, we know that there's a curriculum transparency bill coming forward right now, and I'd like to have the transparency on, are we using district taxpayer money to fight against transparency and parents? We need to know that. The second item, parents at Wildfire were recently notified that we were losing our STEM specialty class next year due to declining enrollment. And others have reported the same thing is happening at their schools in the district. Yet the school has no plans to adjust the social emotional learning personnel that are assigned to every school in the district. It's no wonder why many parents don't trust this district and have opted to pull their kids out. The board voted for metrics that shut down our schools twice last school year and supported the mask mandate that just ended on February 28th. So we'd like to hear, what are your plans to keep our STEM classes in our elementary schools? We need a sustainable plan to keep STEM specialization in our schools. Thank you.
After Kerwin Franklin will be Julie Blumenreich.
Hi, my name is Kerwin Franklin. I'm the mom of 5 boys. I went to PV schools. I went to Arrowhead. My mom was a teacher for over 30 years. I was really grateful to attend the study session this week and learn more about what's going on in the district. It's difficult for us working parents to get there, and we're kind of taking turns and sharing information so we can keep abreast of what's going on. I think that information should be easily accessible. I was glad the transparency word was used in the meeting, as it's my experience that things aren't that transparent. One of the administrators mentioned public records requests are taking 20 hours per week. My question is, why is that the case if we're being transparent? Has anyone ever analyzed the data, what is being requested? Surely that would show the areas that we need more transparency. If one parent has a question, it's likely other parents have the same question. I myself am trying to get access to the legislative bills. The PV is lobbying, just like Eddie mentioned. I was able to get a list of 2 hot bills after the last meeting. I was then told to contact UPC, who has a legislative committee on their website, but they told me they don't have any list of bills nor any meeting notes, and I need to go back to Dr. Bales. I then asked a board member who was kind enough to send me a more detailed list today. That took me a month, and I have a full-time job. Most people would have given up or taken the first email at face value. I also previously sent an email requesting the budget for math curriculum, and I was not able to get that information. These should be easy requests to close out without ever needing a public records request. The last point I'd like to make is I'm disheartened when I review the legislative bills PV is using our tax dollars to lobby against. Every single bill was Republican, and the district opposed all but one, the only one that was giving the district more money. However, when it comes to school choice or accountability for teachers following state statutes with our parental rights, PV opposes it. I thought education is nonpartisan. I'm not surprised PV would lobby against school choice bills since our district was one of the hardest hit with losing 600 kids last year. Had PV not made the choices they had, we would be in a very different situation. Those kids have gone elsewhere and have no reason to come back. Their parents are even willing to incur the inconvenience of transporting them to and from school in another district. My request today is that our PV board seek out input from a diverse group of parents truly representing our base and be more inclusive on your committees. Stop playing politics with our kids' education and focus on academics. Focus on strategy to bring the kids back to PV rather than wasting money on fighting legislation that helps them leave. PV could use that lobbying money to keep the STEM teacher at Wildfire and build long-lasting relationships with families. PV should be investing in academics, which would drive the families back here to the district. Thank you.
After Julie Blumenreich will be Megan Starr.
Good evening, President Matura, Governing Board, Dr. Bales, Cabinet, and guests. My name is Julie Blumenreich. I'm here tonight to speak to the wildfire community and on behalf of the wildfire community. I have been a wildfire parent for the last 14, almost 15 years, and I say almost 15 because there was a time that wildfire was so popular and crowded that There was a wait list of 75 kids for the pre-kindergarten, and we did not get in, but we did find a spot at another PV school, so that was great. But I do remember a time there were 7 kindergarten sections at Wildfire, a time when we were so large we bumped the 6th grade over to Explorer. The band room and the staff room had to be converted to classrooms. But in 15 years, we have definitely seen some change, especially the need for new schools. Wildfire has supported and survived the opening of Fireside, and we supported and we will survive the opening of Sky Crossing. Less than 2 weeks ago, we did learn that we will be losing STEM as a special at our school and also one of the favorite and most beloved teachers in our school. And in that short time, our community has made phone calls, wrote emails, had meetings, researched existing and new grants and other funding sources, asked about going to a part-time STEM teacher, combining other specials, and bringing in a PTO-sponsored program. Students hung posters around the school and tried planning fundraisers on their own to try to save the program. PV Schools has a vision. I share in that vision. I also want all of our students to be taught the skills to be the leaders of tomorrow so they can realize their dreams in an ever-changing world. When I hear the word skills in relation to the words leaders, tomorrow, and ever-changing world, I can't help but think that that would have to include technology skills. I cannot speak for the school administration, but I am hopeful that there will continue to be strong STEM curriculum next year taught at every grade level, and that we will soon have a full-time STEM special again. I cannot speak for the Wildfire PTO, but I'm hopeful that the PTO will find a way to sponsor additional STEM instruction or resources at Wildfire if it comes to that. I want Wildfire families to be hopeful too. I ask administration and the governing board to provide us with leadership and a plan and something concrete to be hopeful about. I also want to take just a few seconds to recognize and thank our STEM teacher, Mr. Justin Price. He has been a teacher, a mentor, an ally, and a friend. And I know this will not be the last time his contributions will be recognized in this room. Thank you.
After Megan Starr will be Michelle Lovett.
Good evening, Governing Board and Cabinet. My name is Megan Starr. I am the Science Fair Chair at Sonoran Sky Elementary, a volunteer position I've held happily for the last 7 years. I just wanted to say thank you to the district for your strong support for our STEM programs and for the first ever elementary school district science fair that wrapped up this past week. Mr. Phil Howardell chaired that, organized it, and coordinated it. And at times, I am sure he would have thought herding cats was easier than getting the elementary students to present virtual science fair projects. Nonetheless, for the first time ever, the district had over 60 projects with near to 100 students on topics ranging from behavioral sciences to chemistry, geology, and planetary sciences. Their projects were amazing. And now some of them, thanks to Mr. Howardell, to the teachers that supported them, and to our volunteer judges, will be going on to represent the district at the Arizona Science and Engineering Fair on March 28th. So I hope that we'll all cross our fingers and see how well they do. Our middle school students and our high school students have a long tradition of doing very well at this competition, and I think our elementary students will as well. So a huge thank you to those schools that participated, Desert Shadows Elementary, Greyhawk Elementary, Sky Crossing, and Sonoran Sky Elementary. And thank you again for your support of the program. And next year, I hope that we go back to the old-fashioned trifolds, filling up an elementary cafeteria, and we can all walk around and see them. Because really, these kids are amazing at the science that they are able to do. So thank you.
After Michelle Lovett will be Wendy Mahler.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Lovett. I'm a teacher at Indian Bend Elementary School and have been with the district for 11 years. I have a daughter who graduated from PV High School 3 years ago and a son who is about to graduate from PV High School this year. I'm here tonight to share my story with you. I cannot sit back any longer and pretend everything is okay. I think it's important to put a face to the stories that are impacting many teachers today in our country, state, and district who are struggling to survive on a teacher's salary, which is no longer a livable wage. This is my story. I guess you're going to have to get a real job. It's something that has played over and over in my head for the last 3 years. This is what was told to me when I was getting my divorce. What I didn't know was that my ex-husband might have been right. The last 3 years, I've done everything I was supposed to do. I've saved money. I work after school as the coordinator for the after-school program at my school. I even work summer school. Last year, I even started giving plasma twice a week for extra money. Even with everything I've done, I've become very close to being homeless, which I never thought would happen to me as a teacher. Just like all the stories you have heard or read about regarding the housing market, I'm here to tell you they're all true. My landlord told me on a Friday that he was going to raise my rent by $200 and to let him know by Tuesday what I was going to do. You can't imagine my fear. How was I going to come up with an extra $200 a month with the rising cost of gas and food when my paycheck was not increasing? Where was I going to go because I couldn't afford the rent increase? I originally planned on buying a home this year. Unfortunately, with the rising prices of houses, that's almost impossible. I work at a Title I school and I can't even buy a home in my school boundaries. Luckily, I was able to negotiate with my landlord a price increase of only $100, but he made it perfectly clear he would not be doing that next year. I can't even begin to explain to you what I went through 2 weeks ago when I truly didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do with my 2 children that live with me full time. My rent each month is a little over $1,800. My paycheck every 2 weeks is around $1,300. So now I'm left with only a few choices. Look for a third job to work on the weekends, quit teaching to find a different job with a livable wage, or move back to Maryland where I first started teaching many years ago. One teacher that I started teaching with in Maryland who has a master's degree, just like I do, makes $96,000. Here in Arizona, my contracted base salary is only $53,000. I used to say I stayed in Arizona because the cost of living was less, but I might not have a choice in a few years and have to go back to Maryland. This is not a livable wage. I can honestly say I love teaching and I would be devastated if I had to leave. Teachers deserve to have a livable wage. They should be able to afford rent and be able to purchase a home. We have to do better.
After Wendy Mahler is going to be Kia Karada.
Hello, my name is Wendy Mahler. Good evening. I wanted to say that I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to watch the AP committee process, especially through open meeting and the opportunity to be able to speak to that group. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to the AP Literature Committee for all the thoughtful work that they're doing. They have a passion for literature, and they bring this passion to this group, and it is evident by the conversation that's going on and their passion for reading and literature in the students. And the rubric that they have created is absolutely outstanding. It should be a gold star standard going forward from here to perpetuity. I have 2 recommendations for this committee. Any sensitive issues, as noted by the committee on the rubric that they created under appropriate content, such as language, violence, sex, drugs, etc., should be an automatic required parental consent. And with that, they should also explain to the parents why it is controversial, since they've already done the work and have it on the rubric. Just explain that to the parents. This will protect all stakeholders. It will protect the district, the teachers, and the kids. And it puts the onus on the parents and maintains parental rights. Number 2, If a book is sensitive and given as an assignment, then a non-sensitive book should be given an option at the very same time. This way, the children can choose either book without feeling peer pressure to opt out. For example, this year I wanted to opt out my son from one of the books that he will be assigned this year, and he does not want me to opt him out because he feels that he will be treated differently than his classmates, or just be different from his classmates. And rightly or wrongly, he thinks that he'll be learning in a different modality than from his teacher than if he chooses that, or if I choose to opt out for him. So taking the peer pressure out of reading assignments by offering 2 options at the same time and by requiring any sensitive material be given parental consent protects all stakeholders. I would like to again thank the AP Literature Committee for their passion for books, teaching, and thoughtful considerations on the topics. Thank you.
After Kia Karada will be Dina Chulu.
Good evening, President Matura, Governing Board, Dr. Bales, and Cabinet. My name is Kia Karada, and I am the UPC President this year. Spring is always a very busy time for UPC. This is our opportunity to celebrate all of the wonderful things that have happened this year by celebrating our teachers, our staff members, and the volunteers that serve our district. We would like to thank everyone that attended the school vendor showcase, as some of you mentioned. It was wonderful to see your faces there and support the parent groups in the district. School vendor showcase is a long tradition for UPC. It's an opportunity for us to support our parent group leaders by connecting them with vendors that will be able to support them at their school sites with things like fundraisers, spiritware, yearbooks, restaurant nights at local restaurants. It's just a lot of fun. And it's a great opportunity for parent group leaders from around the district to meet each other and collaborate and form those relationships. A big thank you to our School Vendor Showcase Chair, Hera Dembowski. She did an amazing job. She is our Mountain Trail, one of our Mountain Trails Middle School UPC reps this year, and she's also the UPC treasurer. I would also like to point out the amazing work that our UPC Outreach Committee is doing. They're a fairly new committee for us, but they are always busy supporting our students, teachers, and staff in PV. Outreach has already done 2 events this year with our transportation department. As you're all aware, it's been very challenging to get bus drivers. So we really want to show our current bus drivers some love, and they don't have a very glamorous job. So we want to say thank you for all they do to get our kids to and from school safely every day, and that we appreciate them. So thank you to Outreach for that. And they had a new idea. Now they're doing a para-educator day because our para-educators need some love too. So they are currently working with a few art teachers from around the district to make a special surprise for our paras, and we were going to be celebrating them on April 6th. If you would like to reach out and find out how you can support the paras at your school, you can send an email to outreach@pvupc, and our amazing outreach volunteers will get in touch with you and let you know what we're going to be working on and how you can help support us. And I do want to shout out to the paras themselves because they are amazing. And they do so much for our kids every day. And our schools couldn't function without them. And we need more. If you're interested, you know somebody you think has a lot of love in their heart and can really help our students with their education and support our classrooms, please go to pvschools.net/jobs because they're all posted there, even positions for next year. This is a great opportunity to support public education. Thank you.
Okay, we have Dina Chulu, and then Melissa Schwartz will be our final speaker.
Being President Matura, Governing Board, Dr. Bales, and Cabinet. My name is Dina Shalou. I'm a parent of 3 elementary age girls in PVUSD, and I'm a former student myself. I found out a little less than 2 weeks ago that our school STEM program was cut along with others due to declining enrollment. I was told by administration and staff that we were required to keep our other 3 specials, music, art, and PE, and so there was no choice but to cut STEM. I wondered why music, art, and PE were required. I asked many a district and I couldn't get a clear answer. I was told over and over that it was made a requirement, but no one could explain to me why or by whom. Yesterday, I was told by district leadership that PVUSD has a longstanding commitment to music, art, and PE. I asked where I could find the information on the website, and I was told I wouldn't find it on the website. It was probably on a governing board minutes from a meeting sometime in the past. Others may have been told that the requirement was made in our most recent M&O ballot language or the bond. I have copies here. It's not. I understand that tough cuts need to be made. I understand that we have a declining enrollment and a budget that keeps decreasing. But I believe that STEM as an allocation is important. Studies have shown that that is the case. STEM-related occupations are outpacing non-STEM-related employment growth, and jobs that involve STEM field on average pays double the salary of non-STEM-related jobs. Knowing this, are we making the decision to cut STEM because it's in the best interest of our children and their future, or is it because it's easier for us as adults? I think we are doing our students a grave disservice by cutting STEM. Studies show that when it's taught by their regular teachers, even with excellent professional development, a lack of STEM subject matter expertise and experiences, coupled with anxiety and low self-efficacy, led to low teacher effectiveness and, more importantly, a lack of interest in STEM subjects by K-5 students. I urge our district to revisit our commitment to PE, art, and music above all. Let's make these decisions together, one that's based on data and science. Our district has historically prided itself on a shared decision-making process and has valued input from school councils. Unfortunately, this no longer feels like the case. The decisions that are being made without input from our stakeholders, our parents, and our students mark a dramatic departure from our established culture. The PV way, as I've known it, is always about community involvement, and it's one of the things that makes our district special. It's not too late to get that back. I know that everything is hard right now, and you guys are getting beat on from all sides and by everyone. There's so much that we can't control. But I want you to know that parents are here, and we want to be a part of this. We want to be involved, and we can help. And now, when the times are hard, it's even more important that we rely on our shared decision processes, that we come together and we work with each other because we all share the same ultimate goal. Thank you.
Good evening, President Matura, Governing Board, Dr. Bales, and Cabinet. I'm Melissa Schwartz, a parent of 2 students at Paradise Valley High School in the CREST program. I'm the chair of UPC's Gifted Committee. The PV United Parent Council has been busy providing presentations for parents throughout this school year. They include daytime events following our general meetings and evening events, often partnering with PV schools departments to provide current content of interest to all parents. Here are some of the programs we've already presented this year. Financing your child's education after high school. Parent group program success stories, which featured parents speaking on the unique programs offered in our schools. Our special education committee hosted IEP Meetings 101. Our immersion committee brought in Christina Lattis to talk about the benefits of second language immersion. With the gifted department, we have presented many evening events. The presenters are all focused on gifted learning challenges, and most have written numerous books, studies, and presentations. With the use of digital presentations, we were able to expand to national and sometimes international presenters. Our students and teaching staff also benefited from activities earlier in the day with each of these presenters. Addressing anxiety and ADHD in our gifted learners using an integrative approach with our local pediatric neuropsychologist, Dr. Laura Wingers, who's local here. Parenting for and with Creativity with Dr. Ronald Baguetto. Bright, Complex Kids, supporting their social and emotional development with Drs. Jean Peterson and Dr. Dan Peters. Supporting Twice Exceptional Learners at Home with Dr. Emily Kircher-Morris. And then we presented the Gifted School Middle School programs, the Digital Learning Center, and Journey. United Parent Council is currently in the middle of our Teacher and Staff Appreciation Program. Annually, we encourage students and parents to nominate their teachers and staff at their schools to recognize those that have made a difference by going above and beyond for the students in PV schools. Nominations can be submitted on our website, pvupc.org, through 10 p.m. on March 23rd. Recipients will be recognized in May. Our next UPC meeting is on March 23rd. Our educational presentation is on important topics in school funding with our own Jill Berrigan. Thank you for your time tonight.
All right, next on the agenda is superintendent comments. Dr. Bales.
Thank you, President Ventura, Governing Board, Cabinet, and guests. As you may be aware, the House and the Senate recently passed an override to the aggregate expenditure limit. I sent notes of personal thanks to House and Senate leaders, Rusty Bowers, Reginald Boulding, Karen Fan, and Rebecca Rios, and to our local state senators and House members that voted for this override, Nancy Bardo, Steve Kaiser, Justin Wilmuth, John Kavanaugh, Christine Marsh, Kelly Butler, and Sarah Longori. I encourage them to take the next step and solve this 40-plus-year-old outdated formula for the future so that we don't have to have this conversation again next year. As many of our board members already pointed out, Space Force is alive and well at Shadow Mountain High School. It was a wonderful event. I'm not sure that I can say any more than this is certainly a point of pride for Shadow Mountain and our district. So kudos to Mr. Appelman, Lieutenant Colonel Bones, and all of the program leaders and cadets out there. So thank you. Actually, I think they're called guardians, right, Mr. Appelman? That's right. They're not cadets, they are guardians. So kudos. The Paradise Valley Educational Association Brown Boutique was also mentioned earlier, and PVEA is currently accepting donations of gift cards and restaurants to hair salons, florists, makeup artists, and tuxedo rentals for student giveaways. PVEA is also collecting gently used formal wear. I know I've donated a few suits, some plus-size dresses, suits, men's shirts, all of it's available. So if you're interested, please help make those donations. Items can be dropped off here at the District Administrative Center Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Prom attire and gift cards will be donated to students who attend PV schools. In PV schools, we engage, inspire, and nurture students through high-quality instruction, meaningful educational opportunities, and dynamic learning experiences. This is our newly adopted mission statement. One of those experiences is our annual Sights and Sound that you've heard mentioned already several times tonight that was held last week, and I too enjoyed the celebration. It was amazing. I had a wonderful time. And those, in addition to that, I think Mrs. Matura mentioned the ceramic bowls. And I would add that with the support of our generosity of our community, our Empty Bowls fundraiser raised $2,207 for the Paradise Valley Community Food Bank. So thank you to all who donated. I'd like to recognize Maureen Minnick, our Fine Arts Director, and all of our Fine and Performing Arts teachers for making this event spectacular. Finally, allow me to express my appreciation to our community for their continued support. Our community has allowed us to continue offering high-quality instruction, meaningful opportunities, and dynamic learning experiences. Our voters continue to support us in bond and eminent right of voter-approved initiatives, especially our facilities. And tonight, there were several construction items approved in the consent portion of tonight's agenda that will take place this summer. You'll see many of those over the next several meetings also. Nearly every school will be touched this summer with some type of summer project. You'll see these moving forward, painting, remodels, furniture, and all contributing to the success of our students, offering them updated spaces to collaborate, learn, and grow. Speaking of collaboration, I'd like to share some new learniture. Here's a picture at Shadow Mountain High School. These are modular desks that can be configured in a variety of ways to increase our students' ability to work collaboratively in teams and projects. This flexible classroom concept is one example how our facilities can support student learning. Long gone are the days with the desk and the basket attached and the difficulty of trying to put them together to learn collaboratively. So very exciting. Thank you to our voters for supporting our bond projects that allow us to do this kind of work. And those conclude my comments tonight.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is items for approval. Dr. Bales.
President Matura, Governing Board members, Cabinet, and guests, and these highlights will recommend several new administrators for the 22-23 school year. And I'm really proud to say that they all have also graduated from our administrative intern program. So we are doing our best to grow our own. The first recommendation is really interesting. This person is an architect by trade and a current DLC teacher. Dr. Holmes, will you share the recommendation?
Thank you, Dr. Bales. Madam President, members of the board, Pam Folk is currently a science teacher and instructional coach at Sunrise Middle School with 13 years of experience in various instructional positions. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree in STEM from ASU, a Master of Science in Middle School STEM from the University of Texas, and a Master of Education in Administrative Leadership from GCU. If approved, she will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the COA bargaining agreement, and we recommend you approve Ms. Folk to be the next CREST and STEM coordinator.
May I please have a motion to approve the employment recommendation for Pamela Folk for the position of CREST STEM coordinator as presented?
So moved.
Do any members of the board wish to make a comment or have questions?
I'm just going to say that we knew each other when our kids were at Sonoran Sky together, so we go way back, Mrs. Falk and I.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
And Ms. Folk is here. Ms. Folk, Sam?
Do you have any family with you this evening you would like to recognize?
Pam, do you have any family you'd like to recognize? President Ventura, our next recommendation is a familiar face and or name, well-known for her work with Dr. Bruyes. Although this rock star is not with us presently, she will be here and we'll bring her back for a meet and greet. But Dr. Holmes, share with us this recommendation.
Madam President, members of the board, Karen Brown is currently the Director of Gifted and Accelerated Learning for the Scottsdale Unified School District with 40 years of teaching and administrative experience. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education and Special Education from NAU, as well as a Master of Education in Special Education with an emphasis in Gifted Education from ASU. It's a lot of education. It's a lot of education. If approved, she will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the COA bargaining agreement. We recommend you approve Ms. Brown to be the next Director of Gifted Education.
May I please have a motion to approve the employment recommendation for Karen Brown for the position of Director of Gifted as presented?
So moved.
Any board member wishing to make a comment or question? Mr. Laney?
Yeah, thank you. I do. I would just like to say that the Gifted program is why my family is back in the district. And so I really appreciate this program. Melissa's nodding her head because her kids were in the same class with my kids at North Ranch in the Gifted program. And it was kind of funny. We were actually recommended by an assistant principal in another district to come to this program because my son was about ready to get expelled from school. And so, and he's a really good kid and is, being expelled for doing his homework when he wasn't supposed to. So I really appreciate this program, and so thank you.
Ms. Bacon?
I will say something too. My son's life was saved by Gifted Education and in PV schools. So I want to thank Dr. Bruyes. I know we're not recognizing her right now, but I always say to everybody, she literally saved my son's life. Because we were getting close to being really unhappy with one another. But the other thing I want to say is welcome home, Mrs. Brown.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And as Dr. Bales mentioned, she is currently on vacation. She was not able to be here, but I will certainly text her and let her know, though she's in several time zones away, that she has been approved.
Thank you. This is the first of 4 recommendations for principal positions. This principal for Sonoran Sky Elementary is a graduate of our administrative intern program and committed to working with collaborative teams at this school. So we're excited. Dr. Holmes?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Michelle Fowler is currently an assistant principal at Sonoran Sky and Larkspur Elementary Schools with 19 years of experience in various instructional roles. She earned a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education from Grandview College in Iowa and a Master of Arts in Education Administration from GCU. If approved, she will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the PVP bargaining agreement. And I feel like I need to stop. And we have a connection to Iowa here, which always makes Dr. Bales very excited. I want to assure you that this is in no way, shape, or form influence the recommendation that we have before you here this evening. We do think she will be fabulous for Sonoran Sky, and we do recommend that you approve Ms. Fowler to be the next principal at Sonoran Sky Elementary School.
May I please have a motion to approve the employment recommendation for Michelle Fowler for the position of Sonoran Sky Elementary School principal as presented?
So moved.
Any member of the board wish to make a comment or question?
I got me to say something because Sonoran Sky is my old stopping grounds. This is where my kids were raised. So I'm really excited about this new hire.
Mr. Laney?
Sure. The whole Iowa thing, I won't hold that against you, as I grew up in Missouri and there's a rivalry between the two states. So
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And she is here this evening with her family.
Ms. Fowler, do you have family you'd like to introduce?
President Matura, Governing Board, our next recommendation is one of our best examples of grow our own. This young man has been a member of the ESP ranks, certified ranks, and soon to be administrative ranks. Dr. Holmes.
Madam President, members of the board, Jorge Ontiveros is currently the assistant principal at Greenway Middle School with 13 years of experience in public education. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education from the University of Phoenix and a Master of Arts in Administrative Leadership from GCU. If approved, he will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the PVP bargaining agreement. We recommend you approve Mr. Ontiveros to be the next principal at Greenway Middle School.
May I please have a motion to approve the employment recommendation for Jorge Ontiveros for the position of Greenway Middle School principal as presented?
So moved.
Are there any questions or comments? Mrs. Bacon.
You guys. Mr. Ontiveros went from a security guard at Horizon to a principal at Greenway Middle School. How amazing is that?
Mrs. Greenberg?
I do remember sitting in your classroom one year at PAL, and I knew then that someday we'd be here. So looking forward to this vote.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Ontiveros?
Family.
Is there anyone you would like to introduce this evening?
Yes, my family is watching a film in my Greenwood.
This next recommendation for Sweetwater Community School is one of the most experienced recommendations we have tonight, considering that he has been an elementary teacher, middle school, high school, special education, and currently at Sweetwater. Dr. Holmes, would you please present this recommendation?
Thank you, sir. Madam President, members of the board, Mark Danner is currently the assistant principal at Sweetwater Community School with 17 years experience in public education. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in cross-categorical special education from ASU and a Master of Arts degree in educational leadership from NAU. If approved, he will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the PVP bargaining agreement. We recommend you approve Mr. Danner to be the next principal at Sweetwater Community School.
May I please have a motion to approve the employment recommendation for Mark Danner for the position of Sweetwater Community School principal as presented?
So moved.
Do we have any comments or questions from the board? Ms. Bacon, I'm actually gonna go to Mrs. Case first to make you wait.
I have personally experienced the fact that Mr. Danner loves the students at Sweetwater, and I'm very excited that there's going to be a principal there who loves those students.
Mrs. Bacon? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Mr. Danner.
Mr. Danner, do you have anyone you would wish to recognize?
The green water. Mr. Danner. Wait. Mr. Danner, we've served on committee together?
Our last recommendation this evening for Horizon High School. This recommendation is committed to fostering a student-first philosophy, academic rigor, and listening to all voices. Dr. Holmes.
Thank you, sir. Madam President, members of the board, Shelley Strophus is currently the interim principal at Horizon High School with 14 years experience in public education. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree in business from the University of South Carolina and a Master of Education in Educational Leadership from Boise State University. If approved, she will receive salary and benefits in accordance with the PVP bargaining agreement. We recommend you approve Ms. Strophus to be the next principal at Horizon High School.
May I please have a motion to approve the employment recommendation for Shelley Strophus for the position of Horizon High School principal as presented?
So moved.
Any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Laney?
Okay, so my kids go to Horizon High School, one right now. I've had two graduate from it. I'll have another one that will more than likely go there. So I have a real vested interest with this. I have spent no less than 20 hours the last couple days speaking with people, thinking about this. I'm a person that I sleep just fine. The last couple days, let's just say I didn't get much sleep. I even shared with Dr. Bells how poorly I did at my job one day when he was having a bad day, so I could help him feel a little bit better. So I've given this a lot of consideration. I've also asked Mr. Chisholm, to schedule times to go around and meet all of the schools as I get used to this position. And I'm looking forward to finally figuring out where the pool is at Horizon School, because I've been trying to find it, but I haven't found it. So I just wanted to say all of that and stress that my kids go there, and that is what motivates my vote for tonight.
Ms. Case?
Thank you. I could have commented on more people tonight, but we don't want to be here all night. So I have a few things to say. And by the way, there have been already been many incredible hirings for this district, and I'm really excited. And I'm excited to see their successes in the future. And often we grow our own in Paradise. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about the process of principal hiring, and that was discussed earlier tonight. Each time there's an opening at a school, I begin asking questions of the superintendent. Sometimes I know of which candidates will apply. I bring up information that I know of, sometimes positive examples and sometimes negative. We as a board hire the superintendent, then he hires everyone else. Upon our approval, we are always trying to grow our own. Sometimes we hire from without the district, sometimes that works, and sometimes that doesn't. There has been some volatility at Horizon this past year. Many parents have commented to me on the hiring of a new principal. I've read all your letters, both sides. I have taken phone calls. I have asked hard questions. I have disagreed and agreed with thoughts of decision makers. I've reached out to people I respect and asked hard questions. I've listened to many parents' concerns and thoughts. Some have even suggested switching principals in our high schools as a solution. I do not rubber stamp who comes before me for my vote. I'm thoughtful and considerate in my voting. I weigh many factors. With all of that said, I believe that Shelley Strophus is the best candidate for the job at Horizon at this time. She has demonstrated that she is willing to listen to all voices. She is a hard worker, and she wants to make Horizon student achievement first on her list, and she cares for each student's success. She wants teachers to make Horizon student-oriented, and she is listening to all parents and includes them in her decisions. I wanted to make those comments. Thank you.
Mrs. Bacon?
Yes, I also wanted to comment. Most of you know that my daughter graduated from Horizon longer ago than I want to tell you about. But it was a challenging place for us as a family and for her as a student. And there have been times when I do think that culturally things have to change a little bit. And that's not just at Horizon, that's at a lot of schools. It's not just there. But like everyone who's already spoken, I've spent lots of hours over the past few days talking with people, doing some research, talked with Dr. Bales, who shared with me that our professional interim administrator, Dr. Craig Lallam, has been working really closely with Mrs. Stolfus, and I respect him immensely. So his input and his thoughts weighed into my decision. And I had the opportunity to speak with Shelley the other day, and we had a really great conversation. And I also want everyone to know that although we were excited about all of these hires, we pay attention to who they are. We do not rubber stamp anything that happens or anything that comes before us. Dr. Bales can probably recount many phone calls he's had over the past few weeks about lots of different things, but these hires included. So that's all I want to say.
Mrs. Greenberg?
Mrs. Bacon just said most of what I wanted to say, except that my older son graduated even longer ago. Actually, Dr. Corson was the principal at that time, so we go way back. But we are not a rubber stamp board. We've never been a rubber stamp board. We do our homework. We do, talk to many folk. We do read letters that come, and we each weigh our decisions individually. But we also do appreciate that it is the role of that we hire the superintendent, and is the role of the superintendent to bring recommendations, and that's where we come in. But we have made some, great hires today and some great approvals, and I believe that Shelley clearly understands, what the community feels about Horizon, what Horizon, has been dealing with over the course of the year, couple of years, and she is committed to the community. And like Mrs. Bacon said, the fact that Craig, who I've known for a long time, feels that this is an extraordinary way to help that community continue to grow and help our students there. I appreciate that this is the recommendation we've been given to vote on tonight.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstain?
Because I have kids that are all abstain.
Thank you very much. So the motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Congratulations, Ms. Travis.
It looks like you may have some ones you would like to recognize this evening.
And that concludes our recommendations for administrative hire. We've run out of positions for the evening.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is consideration and approval for student participation in the Arizona Youth Survey. Dr. Bales.
Thank you, President Mature, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. And with a brief summary of the Arizona Youth Survey, which helps secure grants like our school resource officers, Mr. Long will present this item for approval. Mr. Long?
Thank you. Good evening, President Matura, governing board members, and Dr. Bales. For your approval, tonight I present to you the Arizona Youth Survey, also known as the AYS. This spring, some Paradise Valley schools will be randomly selected to participate in the Arizona Youth Survey, the AYS, a statewide prevention needs assessment for 7th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students conducted by the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission. Can you hear me or you want me to wait?
Let's pause for one moment and we'll allow the excited participants the opportunity to exit before we continue.
I don't know if I should use my teacher voice or not, so I was back. All right. Shall I start from the very beginning? I'll start from the very beginning. That's probably the best way to do that. Good evening, President Mature, governing board members, Dr. Bales. For your approval, tonight I present to you the Arizona Youth Survey, also known as the AYS. This spring, some Paradise Valley schools will be randomly selected to participate in the Arizona Youth Survey, a statewide prevention needs assessment for 7th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students conducted by the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission. The survey results are used to inform existing and future substance use and delinquency prevention programs in our community. State agencies use the AYS to determine where to allocate their limited financial resources for new prevention programs targeting teens. More specifically, PV Schools has used the survey results in its grant application for school resource officers. Currently, this grant has provided PV with 18 resource officers to the district. Questions in the survey covers youth substance use, problematic behaviors, and the risk and protective factors related to those behaviors. The AYS is opt-in. Parents must give permission before students can participate in the survey. Participation in the survey is voluntary, and students may decline to participate at any time or skip any question they do not wish to answer. This will be made clear to students prior to the administration of the survey. This survey is completely anonymous. No personally identifiable information is collected as part of the survey, and no school officials are allowed to view students' responses while they are completing the survey. Our students will be taking this survey online. The online survey program does not collect any information that can be used to identify the specific computer that was used to complete the survey. These protections make it impossible to link individual survey responses to a particular student. With that, I will be happy to answer any of your questions.
May I please have a motion? We'll start with a motion and then we'll move on to questions and comments. May I please have a motion to approve the student participation in the Arizona Youth Survey as presented?
So moved.
Any questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Greenberg looked like, oh, Mrs. Case.
When I got on the board, I didn't understand surveys and things and what they did. You cannot give a survey to students without board approval. And I looked through the surveys, I've questioned them, I've come to understand why they do. I remember having long discussions with Dr. Lee. Why are we doing this survey? It seems whatever. I have found that this survey is fine in the past. I will continue to look at the questions. But just to give you some background on how that works, you cannot give a survey to a student without board approval, just to let you know for future reference. Anyway, I wanted to give that information.
Mrs. Bacon?
And you can't give this survey without parent permission, approval, more importantly, or most importantly. How will we notify parents that they need to opt in? Will there be various methods to do that so that we're covering all the bases of how our parents
We will be developing
digest information?
Yes, we'll be developing a clear process. There will be an opt-in letter that will go home. And once that's returned, we'll begin to figure out exactly how we're going to get our kids through the online survey. And we'll be working with principals to do that.
Yeah, so hopefully we can include it in other things too, like district newsletter, school newsletters, the occasional maybe phone message to parents, something that is more than just one letter, because I know what happened to letters that came home with my kids. They never made it to me. So I just want to see that we're doing more than just one thing to get the information out.
Certainly, thank you.
I had another question. Oh, I'm sorry. When is this going to be done?
Upon your approval, hopefully tonight, we will notify the department that we're able to participate. The random schools that will be selected will open up the registration process for Paradise Valley, and then we'll meet with principals to begin with those selected schools, the process for getting the opt-in letters out and the communication to the families regarding the survey.
And how long have we been doing this survey?
Well,
Do we know?
It's, the survey is every 2 years, and I can think that it's been probably close to 20 that I can recall. I've been in the district 23 years, and then we've
Wow.
done it as long as I've been here.
That's what I was thinking, that I've been approving this for a lot of years. Okay, thank you.
And so not every school will be participating?
Not every school will be participating.
Okay, and the schools that do participate, will every student be given the opportunity to participate within those grade levels that you explained? And then those that opt in will be the ones that finally do take the survey
That is correct.
with the parent approval? Okay.
Yes.
And I do appreciate, I read through the entire survey. I'd seen some things posted on it, and I did some research and looked at all the different grants that people use this information to get grants, to get things to help our communities, to help our students, things that are really needed for our students we're able to get grants now to provide for our students, and having this knowledge of what is needed. So I appreciate that it's an opt-in opportunity, and I do hope that people will opt in so we can get this information and use it for grants and getting help where it is needed. So thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is consideration and approval of billboard lease agreement with Fox Point Interactive LLC and Paradise Valley Unified School District. Dr. Bales?
Thank you, President Mature, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. And with a very brief summary and additional information about a very unique revenue-generating proposal, Ms. Berrigan will present this item for approval.
Thank you, Dr. Bales, President Mature, and governing board members. I have what I find to be an exciting and interesting new opportunity for the school district, and that is a lease agreement with a billboard company. We apparently have some prime real estate right north of the 101 at our transportation department that we're not technically using. It's an area of retention, and it will not interfere with our bus ingress and egress, nor our parking in that area. And this is approximately what it would look like on the 101. It's a double-sided electronic billboard, and so it will have both east-bound traffic and westbound traffic visual to see each of the advertisements that are on there. There's currently a billboard. If you see it, it's very, very tiny past that the green street sign there. It will look very similar to that one if you pass the 101 there in terms of the pole. It will have a brick facade over it, and it look very, very nice for us. I also want to share the location. If you see in the first picture on the left there, there's the big transportation department. In the bottom right corner, you'll see sort of a V. That is the location of where the billboard will be. It says proposed billboard placement. So you can note that it's out of the way of all of those buses that are there. And then that is an image of approximately what the sign will look like. If you don't like Coca-Cola, we can maybe ask Pepsi if they'd like to advertise on the sign. But that brings me to a point that is on the second page of the agreement that I was concerned about in having a billboard on school district grounds, ensuring that the content was in line with governing board policies and ensuring that it wouldn't be anything that we wouldn't want as content on the billboard. So we included all of the provisions in ARS 15-342-27A to ensure that, and then added some additional language. And then perhaps the most exciting part of this is it brings us $5,000 in rent for that particular space each month. But maybe more exciting for Mr. Droege is the fact that we also get free advertising. And advertising is very expensive and increases in expense yearly. And we will get an 8-second spot every 5 minutes over a 24-hour period. That means that our 8-second spot will appear 288 times each day on both sides of the billboard. So it's excellent advertisement, and Mr. Droege helped me evaluate what that would potentially be if we had to pay for that. And we're talking about somewhere between $60,000 to $80,000 annually for that advertisement. So in addition to $60,000 a year, we will receive that free advertisement. So we're very happy to present this to the board, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
May I please have a motion to approve the billboard lease agreement with Fox Point Interactive LLC and Paradise Valley Unified School District for 1,296 square feet of allocated space for the property located at 20621 North 32nd Street in Phoenix, Arizona 85050 as presented.
So moved.
Any questions or comments from the board? Mrs. Case?
How long is this agreement for?
It's noted here in the terms of the agreement. We did a 40-year lease agreement, and that is a great question. In order for the governing board to be able to do more than a 20-year lease agreement, generally you would have to go out to voters to ask for that, but that is only if the value of the property is more than $50,000. The value of this property at 1,296 square feet is less than $20,000. So we're permitted to do a 40-year lease. But we do have the option to terminate within 60 days. That's also in the terms because you never know what may come up. So it was important to have that in there as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Laney?
Sure, thank you. So I actually read this lease because I was concerned about some of the things you already mentioned. So some of those things in there, so the public know, the ads can't be false, misleading, or deceptive, relate to illegal activity, promote acts that violate law, school rules, or disrupt orderly operation of schools, are explicit in sexual material, obscene material, or material harmful to minors, as these terms are defined in Title 13, Chapter 35. So those are some of the things that are in this. So it's totally protecting the environment of our district. And the other thing that I was concerned about, the rent that we're receiving, $5,000 a month. And inflation right now. And I noticed that there's a provision in there that it increases by the real rate of inflation instead of just a set amount like our budget is set to. So I had to put that in there.
Excellent point.
And then the only thing, there's no homes in this vicinity. There's no
It's
residential.
Yeah,
It's mostly commercial
Yes, ma'am.
development,
It's
industrial.
very much a commercial sort of industrial area. So as much as I'd love to have a billboard up, knowing we can make this much in rent at every one of our schools, I recognize that the communities may not
Yeah,
be
they
so
probably
happy
wouldn't
with
like
bright
that a
billboards
whole
in their
lot.
backyard. Yeah.
I also had questions, and I'm glad Mr. Laney read that out loud because that was my first comment when I heard that this was coming up. I said, wait a minute, what might this look like on our school property and what could be on there? And so I appreciated that. It is actually the board policy that is lifted and put into the lease agreement, and I loved seeing that there. So, and I was assured that this would be addressed in the presentation that night. So, so I definitely liked seeing that in the actual information in the lease agreement. So that was nice to have that covered. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, all those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is ratification of vouchers. May I please have a motion to approve ratification of vouchers as presented?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Any abstention?
Mrs. Matura, I'm going to abstain like I always do when there's a payment to ASBA.
Motion passes 4-0 with one abstention. Next on the agenda is gifts and donations. We had pages and pages of donations this month, so that is fantastic and wonderful, and we appreciate everyone who donates to our school district and to our schools. I did want to point out a few this evening. We have at Liberty Elementary School, Ann Stevens donated $2,400 to their site discretionary fund. At Paradise Valley High School, their booster club donated money to purchase the theater rigging of over $7,000. To the district, Premier Copper Products donated some adjustable face masks valued at $25,000 for district use. For Pinnacle High School, Lori's Bridal donated some special occasion dress gowns valued at $8,000 to the theater department. We had at Sky Crossing Elementary, Cinda Doctor donated model airplanes for display in the library at their new school for decorations in the amount of $4,765. And at Sunset Canyon, Martin W. DeRito donated $1,000 to site discretionary fund. The Thunderbird Foundation donated to Shadow Mountain High School's girls golf $1,000, and the Kiwanis Club of Desert Ridge also donated to Shadow Mountain High School Key Club at Shadow Mountain. And this I saved for the end because I had to call and ask about it, and I was really interested in how this worked. But the Shadow Mountain High School Booster Club actually made donations to their own school as well as other schools in our district, and I thought this was fascinating and really nice of the school to be supporting programs throughout our whole district. So I wanted to highlight that in addition to donating $650 to 3 of their own clubs, the Shadow Mountain High School Booster Club Matador Parent Teacher Club also donated $2,200 to Pinnacle High School's Journalist Filmmaker Club and $1,667 to Skills USA Engineering Program and TV and Film Program over at Horizon High School. So I just think that that was fantastic, sharing across our programs across the district. So really appreciate that and everyone who donated. So thank you very much. And may I please have a motion to approve gifts and donations, please?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is items for discussion. Dr. Bales.
Thank you, President Mature, governing board members, cabinet, and guests. And with a brief summary of some consideration of festival sports fee increases for the 22-23 school year, we present this for discussion. It's a first reading, no vote necessary. Mr. Long, will you share with us a summary and proposal?
Thank you. Good evening, President Mature, governing board members, and Dr. Bales. Tonight is the first reading for you to consider a rate increase for festival sports fees for the 22-23 school year. The recommendation being brought forward proposes increasing fees for festival sports from $65 to $75 and All-Stars from $25 to $30. Although this increase does not balance the budget, it does offset some of the wage increases that have occurred in recent years for coaching staff, nurses, referees, and school resource officers. There was a rate increase in 2012-2013 from $60 to $100 for festival sports and a $50 fee for All-Stars. After that rate increase, participation plummeted the following year. So in 2014-2015, that fee was reduced to $65 for festival sports and $25 for All-Stars. This would be the first increase in 8 years. With that, I will be glad to answer any questions.
Mrs. Case?
I have to say that the value of that money is great. My kids have participated in all those sport activities, and dollar use is very good, and I'm glad we're keeping it as low as we can, but we have to pay for the teachers involved, and it's a fabulous program. So thank you.
Mr. Laney?
Sure, I have a question that just came to my mind. If we had such a drop-off last time with an increase, and I know it was a bigger increase, but do you have plans in place to help those that might not be able to pay for it to get into it, even with this increase?
We don't turn any kids away. Our principals work with families. There are some scholarships available as well.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
Okay, and Mr. Laney, you stole my question, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, Mr.
that
Laney
is
stole
always-
my question too.
Yeah, so we, yes, it is. It's nice to know that our schools are able to, and district is able to provide for students to make sure that this is available to everyone. And I pointed out as well, I noticed that the bus routes also provide transportation home from these programs. So students, everyone is able to get a ride home after the program. Even so, that's an appreciative option as well. We will not be voting on that tonight for discussion only. So next on the agenda is a call for executive session. May I have a motion, please?
Move that the governing board call for an executive session in accordance with Arizona Revised Statute, which reads as follows. Arizona Revised Statutes 38431.03.A5, discussions or consultations with designated representatives of the public body in order to consider its position and instruct its representatives regarding negotiations with employee organizations regarding the salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of employees of the public body. Our purpose is to meet for instruction and direction.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. The regular meeting is recessed at 8:50 PM to go into executive session, and we will reconvene after we return from executive session. Thank you. We are reconvening our regular meeting at 9:58 PM. Next on the agenda is instruction to administration. May I have a motion, please?
Move that the governing board instruct the administration regarding negotiations with employee groups as directed in executive session.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Before we adjourn, I would like to remind you that the next regular board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 24th at 7 PM. That will be after spring break. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Meeting adjourned.